June 11th, 1982, in this migrant camp, a worker argued with farmer Ken Fields about how much he was being paid. The argument turned into a fight, and the fight has turned into a $500,000 lawsuit.
The defendant, Mr. Fields, struck unlawfully the plaintiff over the head with his rifle, knocking him unconscious and requiring him to be hospitalized. His damages were a laceration of his scalp, a brain contusion and concussion.
That, according to attorney Jim Francisconi, was one of the worst cases he has handled as he represents migrant workers. When we talked to the farmer here, he told us to leave. It is hard to find the truth inside a migrant camp because residents here do not enjoy the same rights as, say, apartment dwellers. State Senator Jeanette Hanby helped construct the law which has now allowed some people legal access to the camps. It does not allow, however, reporters nor state senators.
I am aware personally of camps that that a state official will still need a warrant to gain access to the camp. So some camp owners are not fully cooperative.
Some state inspectors, doctors, and educators have the legal right to walk onto a migrant camp, but lawyers, labor organizers, and the rest of us cannot set foot on a camp unless somehow invited by the migrant. And many workers are bound to the camp before they arrive here.
Bueno, realmente la necesidad se impone.
When you have to come all the way from Texas, you really don't have the money to get over here. So you do have to ask the farmer for an advance so he can make it up here.
To pay the debt, the migrant must work under the farmer's terms. Until January of 1983, there was no minimum wage for migrant workers. It was all piecework, $1.50 a flat for strawberries.
There's 17 there. I picked 10 and a half. That's all I know.
You did 10 and a half in one day?
2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 and a half.
And that took about 10 hours. At that rate, the youngster was paid only a little over $1.50 an hour. The U.S. Department of Labor says the minimum wage, $3.35 an hour, includes migrants now. Most adults, however, manage to fill over 20 flats, which will earn them a legal minimum wage. Here, the workers are paid by the punches in their ticket. They are paid in cash, and none we talked to received any receipt listing the deductions for taxes or workman's compensation. That, too, is required by law.
There's an assumption that employers convey to workers of Hispanic nature that they're not entitled to benefits at all, not to file claims.
If they do complain to the state or seek legal help, those from Mexico may fear trouble from what is known as migración.
Sometimes there's a concern about whether immigration is going to show up at the hearing, and that can be used in settlement negotiations against the worker, in that a hint at that if he shows up, there could be consequences otherwise.
The American dollar is attracting more and more illegal aliens into U.S. farm labor, and labor contractors say they like to recruit the illegals because they do as they're told.
They're being brought up to this country network that is an underground big business. As I see it as being no different from the smuggling of drugs into this country through other ports. This system is smuggling human beings.
The migrant dilemma is endless, and while solutions are slow in coming, few would want to ban this system of harvesting our food.
I don't want it to end because we need to eat, essentially, and we need to employ people so that they can maintain themselves.
I think there will always be a need for that kind of labor. And hopefully, ideally, we'll see in the not too distant future technology that will allow us to be less labor intensive.
While American capitalism will likely not allow much more profit on these fruits of migrant labors, there are some ways to make migrant life more bearable, like better housing and better education. Those improvements, however, will have to be paid for out of the pockets of farmers and taxpayers. In our next two reports, we'll explore a better life for migrants. Randy Ripplinger, Channel 2 News.